Why would we want to avoid presence? Well, here's the really weird thing. Presence is peaceful, and it's presence is dissolution, and it's no self. But presence is also contraction. Presence has presence has infinite flavors to it. It's not bound to be only pleasurable. That's what we miss. And there's an assumption we make early in life. Of course we do. And our mind always makes it. The thoughts always make it. And that is, I'm always trying to feel better and always trying to avoid feeling worse. But that really, we have to look really closely at that specifically after awakening. And there are some insights that, interestingly, there's one insight specifically that interestingly is the one that probably reduces suffering the most, personal suffering the most. And that's the shift into equanimity. But what's interesting about it is the way you investigate it is very counterintuitive. It's not a deep samadhi type investigation. It's not a meditative thing. It's actually down and dirty life. It's like, look at what actually what triggers you in life the most. And you got to like, just be honest with yourself. Be like, what triggers me? Is it my relationship with my loved ones? Is it work, my boss? Is it the government? Whatever it is, look at those things that really trigger you and start to feel into the cognitive distortion that comes up that says this. It says, this is how reality is. Right now, it's just like this. This is the way it is. Just like it's the way it sounds, the way it feels, the way it looks. This is what's actually happening. And this is what my mind says should be happening, right? And that little mistake, it's not a mistake, it's just the way our minds operate. But the buy-in we have, it leads to a sense of doership. It leads to a sense of the one who has agency that can make me feel better, that can fix the problem in my life. It perpetuates that through thought. And so when we actually follow the breadcrumbs like backwards to where they started, and you'll find this place where you realize, oh my God, whenever I look at life exactly how it is, and I tell myself, that's how it is, yeah, sure, but that's not how it should be. I can make it different than it is. Like, no, you can't. You can't make what's happening right now different than what's happening right now. You'll never, ever, ever be able to do that. And yet, through the magic of thought, we really kind of convince ourselves we can. That's the root of suffering. And so, as I said, it's counterintuitive, this particular insight, because you actually have to go back into discomfort. You go in the moment, when you're doing this and you're really putting yourself like over the coals on this, you'll realize like, oh my God, I've been doing this for years. I've been convincing myself that what's actually happening is not happening, or I can make it not happen, or I can make it less happening when I know damn well I can't. And to realize that, it causes a little bit of discomfort. It's kind of like if you could bottle human discomfort into a jar and then drink a drink of it, it's kind of like raw discomfort. It's not torture, but it's not comfortable. It's this place we don't want to be. And the willingness to actually be there while doing this kind of good inquiry of noticing, oh, this is how it is. And this is how I think it could be. And then this little flip can happen where all of a sudden you realize like, oh my God, I've been looking at the world as how it could be moment to moment, most of the time, instead of how it actually is. No wonder I'm suffering. Yeah. So being willing to go back and look at this kind of stuff. But again, when you've had mystical experiences and you've went through awakening and all this, and everyone that talks about meditation and awakening talks about not having suffering, this is the last place you'd think to look, but it's the place you have to look to really get under that fundamental mistake that makes it so that we don't recognize equanimity is actually always here.